The CONCACAF Gold Cup is back, and we finally have our group stages set and complete, guys. I do apologize for the little waits of the uploading schedule being put on hold. For me, I was basically gone for about 2 weeks because I was in Guatemala. I was in the trip, I was enjoying it, it was alright. Family-wise, it was good. Trip-wise, I think it was pretty boring. So I was kind of waiting to get back here, but now I kind of miss some of the people over there. But that's beside the point, guys. We have CONCACAF Gold Cup coverage to talk about. And let's just quickly run down to the group stages. I'll give a quick recap. Hopefully this is a 15-minute video. You enjoy it, I enjoy it, and then I get more subscribers. Subscribe, by the way, guys. We're trying to hit 600 before school comes back. AP Bio test came out, the results. I will want to look at it, but I can already see a fat one. And all begins in Group A, with the United States being in this group, aka the title holders, by the way, if you guys don't remember them winning it. But even though they were in this group, they had a little bit of a bump. They only could hold a 1-1 draw in their first opening match against Jamaica, and at times Jamaica looked like the better team. And it was only a Brandon Vasquez late draw goal. I don't know what that was, but late draw goal, guys. But it was only a Brandon Vasquez goal late in the second half that made the US MNT have only a draw against Jamaica. Now after that, it was basically Island Nation. For St. Kitts and Nevis,
it's not looking good, bruv. It's not looking...
After match day 3, it ended up being the US leading the group and Jamaica also being tied with the US MNT, but they would be the goal tiebreakers. The goal, how many scored you go on? I don't know. Now on to Group B, when they had last competition's finalists, Mexico, go up against Qatar, which were basically last competition special guests. I don't know why they're here, to be honest. I mean, the World Cup's ended. I don't know why they need to be here. They fired Felix Sanchez, so I don't know why it matters now. But they're here, and they went up against one of the powerhouses, Honduras and Haiti, into it. Now Qatar, being Qatar, were basically just... Listen, I love this team. I think they're a free-scoring team. But when I look at their defense sometimes, their defense is just like... There's just no defense. It's just a pure vibe team. This is what I get from Qatar. Unfortunately, we didn't get a pure vibe team in the World Cup. We just got a disastrous team, which was basically a showcase of this competition as well. Because, I mean, the fact that you drop goals last minute against Haiti and then to Honduras as well, to only have a draw and then a loss. I mean, they could have been out by 4 points, but it was only a special night from Honduras and a special night from them that made Qatar move on to the quarterfinals. I've been hating on Mexico. The last video was me dunking on them. I got my views. I'm happy. I got my clown show on Mexico. But there's still problems in this team, to be honest, guys. It's a long way for me to say Mexico is a powerhouse, because right now it's not. They look vulnerable, and my goodness, they are probably one of the slowest teams I've ever seen in my entire life. I mean, just by looking at the Haiti game, I mean, the amount of times they were outrun by these Haitian attackers, and just for them to just drop the ball and then be horrible at finishing. And for me, after I saw that Haiti game, I just predicted that it was going to be a tough night for Mexico up against a Qatari side that really loved to score, I'll be honest with you guys. They love scoring, but it was their defense. But for some reason, it was the other way around that match. It was a weird night, guys. Even the Mexican fan got stabbed. So there are problems in this federation with fan-wise and this team. I'm not ready to say they're really comfortable in this competition. Is it because his family? Oh my God, no! Look what happened, guys. Look what happened. I was being too mad. Group C consisted of Panama, El Salvador, Costa Rica, and Martinique. And I don't know, it was a pretty interesting group, I guess. Out of all the groups, to be honest, this was probably the least interested I was. But Panama ended up being first, surprisingly. I think El Salvador was probably one of the ones that I was probably most disappointed in. They had such a great opportunity, especially in the last match day. They just needed to win. Actually, I think it was against Panama. So Costa Rica, yes, I get it. 2014 was a great year, but this is just a team that looks like they just don't have a sense of direction, to be honest. I mean, they just narrowly made it out the group stage, and this is a team that doesn't even have Keylor Navas, and still with old stars, old aging stars. I don't know. Costa Rica is a mystery team for me. I wouldn't be surprised if they go out as soon as possible in the quarterfinal. And finally, we had our final group, which was Group D, which had consisted of Canada, Guatemala, Guadeloupe, and Cuba. Now, let's just get this off the hook. Cuba ended up the group with 0 wins. I'm sorry, guys. I hate being the bad guy, but it's just the honest truth. Cuba ended up being last. And what is probably most surprising is that, I'll be honest with you, I think Canada really, really struggled in the group stage. I didn't have a moment, well, except for the Cuba match, but that was because it's Cuba. They were already out at that point, so I'm not even surprised. But anyways, there was no moment in my entire brain watching Canada where I was like, wow, this is a true Canadian side that's ready. They look vulnerable, they look disappointing, they just look like they want to be there because they have to. I mean, the federation's on the brink of bankruptcy, so it's like they have to be there and move on to the next round, because if they don't, then they probably ain't gonna play for Canada the next month. It's very interesting. It's very tragic as well. And listen, I get it. Everyone's like slandering John Herdman sometimes, but I think he's still a good coach. It's just the PTSD from the World Cup is still showing. I mean, you can tell with the CONCACAF Nations League how terrible they played. Well, that was basically because of the center back, but that's a whole different conversation. Nations League is already over with. This team, I don't know, they just lack the spirit of what I usually see with the Canadian side. But despite all that, they still made it out the group stage, which I actually got upset. Even though I was going against Guadeloupe, as Guatemala were up against Guadeloupe in the final match, and either one of them had to win to either win the group stage or go out. And I hated that, because I wish Guadeloupe was second and Canada was third, because Canada don't deserve to be here, to be honest, guys. I'm sorry, but they just look so disappointing. And compared to Guadeloupe, where they had so many opportunities to finish the Canadian side, and it only ended up being 2-2, and then them just being the beautiful, beautiful ball. I mean, they nearly won against Guatemala. It was just a late Mejia goal that sealed the win for Guatemala. And yes, Guatemala being first, they're up against Jamaica. It should be interesting. And guys, remember last edition, I was like an ignorant little Guatemalan supporter. And then we lost in the prelims, guys, the prelims to Guadeloupe as well. And now the tables have turned. Guys, I'm mature now. I'm supporting this team. And now we're making it into the quarterfinals. This is like happiness to me, guys. This is the only thing that's like making me not miss Guatemala, because I'm still seeing the country in my TV, guys, and it's making me proud. But then again, Guadeloupe should have been second, guys. I'm being honest. They would have probably put more of a fight to the U.S. than Canada. And speaking of Canada versus USA, let's go ahead and talk about my beautiful chef's kiss of a prediction. Which our first game begins Panama against Qatar. Now, this is a good matchup, but I think I'm going to be honest with you guys. I love Qatar. I'll be honest. I think I wanted these guys to win the most out of like any other team except for Guatemala. But they're the outsiders, and it'd be so cool if they won the Asian Cup, which was like a decade ago, but still, it would be cool if they won that, and then this Gold Cup, because they're not even a CONCACAF team, and the World Cup's even over, but they're still here, and it'd be like 20 times funnier if they won it. But despite all that, and despite all the dream that I'm having for this thing, I just don't see them moving on. First of all, yellow card accumulation hit harder on this team more than a drunk driver going to the highway and meeting a semi-truck. I mean, they're missing like their key players, to be honest. I think their goalkeeper is also going to be gone in this game. But despite all this, I want to go for Qatar, guys. I want the Cinderella story to continue, but I don't think it's going to be true. Listen, Panama, they've been flying, and yes, they had a bit of a struggle in the last match day, but I think it's going to be an easy one. And this is a Qatari side that even when they have their full squad, they just somehow drop the ball. And whenever expectations are lower than like the Mariana Trench, then they actually like win for once. You see it with the Mexico game. So listen, I want to give Qatar the win. I want to say that, guys. I want to say it in front of the camera, but I think it's going to be Panama moving on. Heading to the other side of the bracket, we have Costa Rica against Mexico. Now, this sounds like a good matchup, but I feel like this is going to be a sad like 1-0 win to Mexico. Or it could be like a 3-0 on a good day. It really depends on this Mexican side. I honestly, guys, I don't even know. This is a Mexican national team that just confuses me. I don't know. This is going up against a Costa Rican side that is also kind of struggling. Like I said, they're not really struggling. They just don't really know where to go from here. They just look lost. I mean, they look lost. They have aging stars. Most of their players aren't even here. So I'm going to go with Mexico on this one, but don't be surprised if it's just a 1-0 win. Then we have Guatemala against Jamaica. Now, guys, I'm not trying to be biased, but I actually think Guatemala has a chance. I think against the Guadeloupe game, I think that was them coming out and showing what a team could be, what this Guatemalan team could be. That's a better wording. Previous matches, I think we just haven't seen that, especially against the Cuba game, which they should have scored at least like 6 goals, and they probably should have won against Canada. And they're attacking, opening up, and showing the whole world what they were against the Guadeloupe game makes me feel more confident that I think they can keep going. This is a good team with a well-respected coach. Jamaica, though, yes, they have Leon Bailey, and they're good as well. They're good. I don't know, though. I don't know. I want to give more chances to Jamaica, but all we've seen is just a 1-1 draw against the U.S., which they were pretty decent in, and the rest was against island nations. So I don't really want to count those as like seeing what a Jamaican side look like, because they're island teams. Like they have a smaller population to like a suburb of like Minneapolis. So I don't know. I want to give Jamaica a chance, but I feel like Guatemala they just look like the better team. So I'm going to go with Guatemala on this one. I think it's going to be a Mexico versus Guatemala semifinals. Should be interesting. Let's just quickly go on the Canada versus USA. I think it's going to be USA. I think this is going to be maybe a blowout. This could probably be a 2-0 game. If not, it could probably be worse. I mean, the US M&T are flying, but like I said with Jamaica, I just don't really have much to say from this US M&T side to look at, because yes, they've been scoring so many goals, but it's up against island nations. I'm still going to go with them because this is a Canadian side, which I think they just shouldn't have been here, to be honest. This is a vulnerable team. They look disappointing. They just look like they don't want to be here. They're like on the brink of like collapsing. Just like this Federation of Canada. So anyways, that's my predictions. Let's quickly give a prediction to who I think is going to move on to the final and then win. So, USA versus Panama. I think that's going to be a USA win for some reason. BJ Callagher is an actual good coach, and I'll agree to that. I'll stick with that. With Greg Berhalter, it's just like a rolling the dice. You can never know what team you're getting. It could be prime Manchester United with Cristiano Ronaldo, Wayne Rooney in that team, and then the next day you get an uninspiring USMNT side, and they just are grinding out the wins. But with BJ Callagher, it's been amazing. He's had wonderful time substitutions. He's actually a good coach for once. I wish I could say that with Greg Berhalter. So I think I'm going to go with the U.S. moving on to the final. Mexico versus Guatemala. I want to say Guatemala, guys. Like, they're like the Cinderella story in my heart. But this is reality. And for some reason, Mexico are like... What makes me upset is that, like, there are so many teams that deserve to move on. But you have this Mexican side that, like, gut out wins, and for some reason reality has to hit, and they somehow can still move on to the next round because they're so dumb, and they actually have quality of individual players that step up more than like their actual coaches. So gonna be another USA versus Mexico final, guys. But that's what I would say if I was drunk. Because I think, in my heart, guys, it's going to be Guatemala against USMNT in the CONCACAF Gold Cup final. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sticking with that. Come back to this video, though, and like when they go out against Jamaica and then laugh at me and all that. Yeah, that's cool. But I think I could see it. But this is CONCACAF, and this is the Mexican side that just... I hate this. But hopefully in my heart, it's true, and I think I'm going to say it. I think it's going to be Guatemala against USA, and I could make a case that Guatemala puts up a fight, but I think, all in all, I think the USMNT are going to win their back-to-back Gold Cup. They just look like a well-balanced team, and I wish I could say that with Canada, and I wish I could say that with Mexico, but they're both struggling. Both are very disappointing. They just look disorganized sometimes, okay? And they're slow, especially with Mexico. So it's been your boy Jason. USMNT are winning it. That's about it. This video is 30 minutes, so trimming this video is going to be a lot of fun. Alright, that's about it. Subscribe, like, I'm leaving now.